On Christmas Day, I discovered an incredible truth. My freezing granddaughter was hidden while my estranged daughter stood just steps away from me, her heart cloaked in shadows. Jake Turner stood in the frosty air, the twinkling lights on his little bungalow reflecting a joy that felt like a ghost. Outside, Maplewood was alive, a postcard of holiday cheer with the scent of gingerbread and cinnamon wafting from every window. But inside, he felt a chill deeper than the winter breeze. Margaret's absence lingered like a heavy weight, her laughter echoing in memories that haunted him. As he hung the final strands of lights, nostalgia flowed through him, a bittersweet reminder of Christmases past. He rolled out dough for the cookies Margaret used to bake, the aroma bittersweet, piercing through the silence. Every swirl of flour and sugar brought him back to a time when his family was whole. But the absence of laughter, of Sarah's mischievous smile, twisted at his heart. They had lost so much after Margaret's passing. Then, his phone rang. The name Sarah lit up the screen. His heart raced. Could it be that she was finally ready to come home? Since she had left, their conversations became fewer, filled with unspoken words and unresolved hurt. The news sent shivers of hope and anxiety through him. She would be here for Christmas Eve, but would she bring the wreckage of their past with her? Christmas Day arrived, and the air crackled with promise. A knock broke Jake's solitude, revealing Sarah, a fragile yet familiar figure. Behind her, a small girl hid Lily, Sarah's daughter. The moment felt heavy with unspoken apologies. They exchanged brief smiles, but the warmth didn't reach their eyes. As the adults spoke of old friends and casual memories, Jake noticed Lily's quiet retreat into the garage. That he followed her, concern tightening his chest as he found her shivering, tucked away in a corner like a lost bird. "Why are you out here?" he asked softly, but her eyes were wide and scared, mirroring the turmoil between the adults inside. Just then, Sarah's voice rang out, and anger flared in Jake. "You're neglecting her," he blurted. The words hung thick in the air as memories clashed violently with the grief still festering between them. Sarah opened her mouth, but it was like glass breaking sharp, splintering, releasing everything they had kept inside. She spoke of leaving, of wanting to escape the pain that this house held after Margaret's death. Jake's heart broke. Neither had confronted their grief, and their family had unraveled. Their exchange spiraled, painful truths digging into their wounds, and the weight of the past threatened to crush them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emotions swirled around them as friends filed into the house for the annual charity event Jake had hoped would pull them together. But the room crackled with tension, old grievances spilling into laughter. Sarah's guarded comments dug at Jake, an insinuation that highlighted his failures. Just when Jake thought they might find forgiveness, Sarah's careless remark about family sent everything crashing again. He felt paralyzed, fighting the urge to speak, to argue, to fix. Could he forgive her? Could they mend what had been broken? Overwhelmed, he glanced at Lily, watching with wide, unsure eyes, and suddenly, he realized he must fight not just for himself, but for her. This Christmas had become an emotional battleground. The question hung in the air: can a family truly heal when the past casts such a long shadow? Jake felt that familiar knot in his stomach as he stood on the threshold of the garage, watching the shadows flicker behind the lights. It was as if time had folded in on itself, trapping all three of them, him, Sarah, and Lily, in this moment of painful stillness. His heart raced, caught between the emotional landslide from the past and the fragile hope for the future. "Lily," he said softly, stepping closer to the small girl who barely peeked out from behind shelves filled with dusty old tools. She looked up at him, her big brown eyes reflecting confusion and fear. He knelt, trying to look less towering, less like the embodiment of the family tensions that pressed down on them all. "I don't want to go back inside," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence that wrapped around them. Jake didn't know the answer. He understood the ache of wanting to hide, the urge to escape from what hurt. Here was a little girl trapped in the fallout of their explosive past, and he wanted to protect her. His glance drifted back towards the house, where laughter mingled with clinking glasses. How could they pretend everything was okay when the fractures ran so deep? Just then, a sharp cry echoed from inside, pulling his attention. "Let us just leave. I'm done." Sarah's voice cracked like thunder, slicing through the holiday cheer. Jake shot to his feet and took a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived too soon, but they could no longer avoid it. They had to confront what lay beneath. "Stay here, Lily," he instructed gently, then made his way back into the storm brewing inside. The chaos churned as he crossed into the living room, where Sarah stood with fists clenched, and a crowd of guests looked on, frozen in shock. Their expressions reflected the tension, a mix of disbelief and discomfort. He felt every eye on him as he stepped further into the room, the air heavy with every unspoken word. "Sarah," he said softly, but his voice commanded attention. "We need to talk." She turned to him, fierce and wounded. "Talk? About what?" "About how you've always ignored how I felt. About how you couldn't even see me after Mom died." Her emotions spilled out with each word, raw and jagged. Jake's heart was heavy with the truth of it all. She was right. They had both buried their grief and let it poison what they had left. There was something new in Sarah's eyes, a flicker of vulnerability that hadn't been there moments earlier. "Jake, it's not just you. I ran away because I couldn't face this." He stepped closer. "None of us wanted to face it. But we have to for Lily." Her eyes darted to the door, where Lily was still waiting in the garage. For the first time, Jake felt a thread of connection between them, a shared commitment to protect the little girl caught in their storm. "Can we really do this?" Sarah's voice broke, hope battling despair. "I don't know, but we need to try." He glanced outside again, where the snowy landscape brightened under the winter sun, a stark contrast to the darkness enveloping them. Hope flickered weakly, but it was there. "Let us find a way to talk," he suggested. "Not just tonight, but from here on out. For her sake." Sarah nodded, her resolve building like a flame igniting against the cold. "Okay. Let us try." Before they could speak further, a small figure slipped into the room. Lily stood there, her tiny hands fumbling nervously at her sides. "Can I come in now?" she asked, looking between her mother and grandfather, uncertainty written all over her innocent face. Jake felt the weight of her gaze. They were in this together now. "Of course, sweet girl," he said gently, kneeling again to her level. "We've got a lot to talk about." As they formed their unexpected circle, a family attempting to rebuild from the broken pieces, the carols outside faded into the background, replaced by the sound of hearts slowly beginning to mend. But as the echoes of laughter from the party grew, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenges were still ahead. Could they really begin to heal? Just then, the doorbell rang again, and a chill swept through the room. What more secrets could be lurking at their doorstep? Jake felt his heart thud heavily in his chest as he turned towards the front door. That door, with its wreath of brittle pine needles and bright red bough, suddenly seemed like a portal to more turmoil. He exchanged a quick look with Sarah, who wore a mask of confusion, her brow furrowed with equal parts curiosity and dread. "Who could that be?" she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Before he could respond, the door swung open, revealing an unexpected figure standing outside. Charlie. He was a family friend, someone from the days before everything had fallen apart, and Jake hadn't seen him in years. Charlie stood shivering slightly, bundled in a thick winter coat, his cheeks flushed from the cold. "Hey, guys. Merry Christmas," he exclaimed, a bright smile on his face that quickly dimmed when he saw the tension inside the room. "Charlie. What are you doing here?" Jake asked, trying to mask his surprise. "I brought you all a little something." He held out a basket overflowing with cookies and treats, bathed in tinsel and ribbons. "Thought you might need some holiday cheer." Sarah managed a weak smile, but Jake noticed the way her shoulders relaxed a fraction. Evidence of kindness could breathe life into the stagnant air, if only for a moment. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a lifeline. "Thanks, Charlie." "Come in," Jake invited, stepping aside to let him enter. "Just, mind the chaos." Amid the bright decorations and laughter still echoing from the back of the house, the tension felt palpable as they all filed into the living room. Lily's eyes went wide when she saw Charlie. "Uncle Charlie," she squealed, moving towards him. Jake's heart warmed for a second, watching the two share an enthusiastic hug. Lily always had a way of drawing the best out in people. "Hey, kiddo. Merry Christmas." He laughed, ruffling her hair. When he turned back to Jake and Sarah, his expression shifted from jovial to concerned. "Is everything all right?" Jake exchanged a glance with Sarah. "We're working through some stuff," she said, searching for the right words. "It's been a rough few days." Charlie nodded, understanding what wasn't being said. "Sometimes, the holidays can bring up ghosts," he said gently, setting the basket down. "But they can also remind us what we're fighting for." "Yeah," Jake admitted, his throat tightening. "It's about Lily, you know. She deserves a family that's whole." The truth of that statement pressed down on him, heavy and profound. The room fell quiet for a moment, the weight of their shared grief hanging in the air. Charlie took a deep breath before breaking the silence. "I have a story to share. You might want to sit down for this," he said, glancing pointedly at Lily, who was too caught up in her cookie basket to notice the gravity of the moment. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "It's about family. You think you know everything about your own," but he hesitated, the vibrant cheer of the holiday slipping away as something more somber took its place. "Sometimes, there are surprises. Things that come to light when you least expect them." Jake felt a chill creep down his spine. "What kind of surprises?" Just then, the lively laughter from the party beyond the living room seemed to amplify in contrast to the charged atmosphere. The door may have been open to cheer, but it felt more like it had ushered in a storm. With brows knitted and hearts racing, they all turned toward Charlie, waiting for him to continue, each one of them clinging to the fragile threads of hope. But Charlie's next words weren't what they anticipated, and the air was thick with tension as he began to reveal a truth that could shift everything they believed about family and belonging. Charlie took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the room. The light from the Christmas tree flickered between shadows, and for a moment, Jake felt as if time stood still, the festive decorations now merely an eerie backdrop to their growing unease. "What I'm about to share is something I've kept to myself for a long time," Charlie said, his voice steady but low, as if the weight of his words might break the fragile atmosphere. "I didn't know how you'd react, but well, I can't keep it in any longer." Sarah leaned in closer to Jake, her hand finding his. He could feel the warmth of her palm against his, but he couldn't shake the coldness creeping into his bones. "Years ago, before everything went south, I learned something about your family. I thought I could spare you the pain, but now, I see the truth could actually heal." "What truth?" Jake's voice was almost a whisper, but it held a depth of frustration and hope. "It's about your mom, Jake. And your dad." He paused, clearly struggling with the gravity of what he was saying. "There's been a family secret. A hidden child. A sister you never knew about." The words hung in the air, heavy and surreal. Jake felt like the ground had vanished beneath him, and out of instinct, he took a step back, pulling Sarah closer. "What are you talking about?" "I found out by accident through an old friend trying to clear his conscience," Charlie continued, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Your mom had a daughter when she was younger. She gave her up for adoption. No one knew, not even your dad, until recently." The mention of his parents stung Jake like a sharp wind against his skin. Their lives had already carried so much weight, this revelation felt like another avalanche crashing down. "Why didn't she tell us?" "She was afraid. Afraid of how it would tear the family apart. But here's the thing. I learned she's lived in the same city all this time. Maybe even close by, without knowing about you." Jake's mind spun with possibilities. The ache in his chest suddenly felt like it was mixing with fierce anger. How could she keep this from us? Years of family gatherings, of stories shared, of laughter that now felt hollow. It was unbearable. Charlie moved closer, his expression softening. I think she thought she was protecting you. Keeping the past buried. But there is something about the truth, Jake, it can bring light to darkness. It was quiet again, save for the laughter from the party, the distant sound of bells ringing nearby. Lily's innocent joy seemed at odds with the weight of their shared moment. Do you think she'd want to meet us? Sarah's voice trembled, her hope now flickering like the lights around them. I think that's up to you, Charlie replied gently. But imagine bringing that family together. Offering a new beginning. Rebuilding what was lost. Jake's mind raced. Could he handle it? The thought of welcoming someone new, someone who could disrupt everything they'd worked to hold together. But then he glanced at Lily, her small form wrapped in warmth, blissfully unaware of the storm swirling above her. He had fought so hard for his family's love, for their laughter and joy. Maybe there was space for this new truth too. Let us not rush into anything, Jake finally said, his voice stronger. But I think we need to find her. We have to at least try. Charlie nodded, a smile breaking through the tension. That's the spirit. This Christmas could mark a new beginning for all of us. Just then, a loud thud echoed from the other room as a group of partygoers acted up. The laughter drew them back to the present, but Jake felt a shift inside him, a budding urgency now sparking new questions. As they prepared to step back into the revelry, Charlie caught Jake's eye. You know, sometimes you have to dig through the past to uncover treasures you didn't even know existed. Jake's heart raced. Could this truth be the catalyst for real change? Or would it shatter their fragile world further? As they moved toward laughter, he couldn't shake the weight of what loomed ahead. There was a hidden sister out there, and the search was about to begin. The thought echoed within him. What if discovering her was the key to mending their broken family? Or would it lead to an unraveling he couldn't foresee? Jake stepped back into the crowded room, where the voices blended into a cheerful symphony of holiday spirit. But all he could hear was the unanswered question echoing in his mind. Where was his sister? Want some hot cocoa? Sarah's voice brought him back to the present. She wore a concerned look, her eyes searching his for answers he didn't have. Yeah, sure, he said, forcing a smile. The warmth of the festive drink would do little to defrost the chill lodged itself inside him. The reality of Charlie's revelation sat like a stone in his stomach. As they made their way to the table, Jake couldn't help but notice how the lights glittered off the tinsel, creating a magical aura that felt so distant from what he was grappling with. It was supposed to be a time of joy, of celebration, and yet he felt an ever-deepening divide forming, one that seemed to pull at the fabric of their family. Hey, you okay? Sarah asked, handing him a steaming mug. You're pretty quiet. He took a sip and let the warmth wash over him, but his insides still felt cold. Just thinking about everything. Charlie's a good guy. If he believes there's hope, maybe there is. She held his gaze, her eyes full of compassion. It was her strength he admired, reminding him that they were in this together. You'll figure it out. Yeah, I never thought family could be so complicated. The last word sat heavy on his tongue, almost foreign. As the evening wore on, laughter broke at intervals, stories from friends blending into a merry cacophony. Yet, he couldn't erase the image that haunted him, his hidden sister, waiting out there in the shadows. What would her life have been like? Did she know about them? Jake excused himself from the cheerful chatter, wanting to breathe away the dizzying thoughts stirring inside his head. He stepped outside onto the porch, where the crisp winter air hit him like a splash of cold water. The night sky sparkled above in a tapestry of stars. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. A message from Charlie lit up the screen. Found an old article about adoptions in the area. Let us meet in the morning. Jake stared at those words, feeling an unsettling mix of excitement and dread curling in his stomach. They were on the brink of something that could change everything. But was that change a blessing or a curse? Earth to Jake. Sarah's voice pulled him back. What is going on out here? Charlie found something. We might have leads on my sister, he replied, his heart racing. Her eyes widened slightly, and he could see the mix of hope and apprehension mirrored there. That's huge. What do you think? I think it could either be amazing or blow up in our faces. With your family, maybe a little of both? She said with a teasing smile, but he could see the intensity in her eyes. The door swung open behind them, and Lily burst onto the porch, bundled up against the cold. Dad, come see. We're singing. Her excitement was contagious, and despite the turmoil within him, he felt his heart swell. Okay, just a minute. Jake replied, his smile genuine now. Seriously, you need to come join. It's let us go, Jake said, not wanting to let this moment slip away. As they headed back inside, the sounds of caroling floated through the open door, inviting yet echoing with uneasiness. He caught Charlie's eye across the room, and they shared a nod. They both knew the tide had turned. Tomorrow's search might lead to revelations that could either mend or fracture what they had left. With Lily's laughter surrounding him, Jake felt a flicker of hope igniting within the chaos. Who knows what tomorrow held? But as the carolers began to sing louder, a thought struck him. What if finding his sister wasn't just about family, but about finally understanding himself? Deep down, he was ready for whatever came next, both the miracles and the sins of the past. But would the truth heal their wounds or open up new scars? The answer loomed for another day, leaving him once again at the edge of uncertainty. The morning light seeped through the curtains, casting a soft glow over Jake's bedroom. He woke up with an uneasy feeling brewing in his chest. Today was the day. Today was the day they would search for his sister, the missing piece of his family puzzle. He quickly brushed his teeth and splashed water on his face, trying to shake off the unease. Breakfast was a blur, filled with the usual clatter of dishes and the cheerful chatter of Lily as she recounted her dream about building a snow fort. Jake smiled, feeling the warmth of her innocence, but the weight of uncertainty continued to press down on him. Are you excited for today, Dad? Sarah asked as she poured another cup of coffee. The steam curled in the air like a cozy embrace. Excited? Not exactly, he replied, anxiously picking at his toast. More like, anxious. What if we can't find anything? Okay, but what if you do? What if this is the moment you've been waiting for? She had a point. He remembered the flicker of hope ignited within him last night. He had to focus on that rather than the shadows of what could go wrong. Right, he said, his voice firmer. Let us focus on what we can find. The plan was simple. They were meeting Charlie at a small cafe that had become a hub for the town's residents. It was known for its homemade pastries and the kind of warm atmosphere where secrets seemed to spill from every corner. On the drive there, his thoughts swirled like the snowflakes dancing in the winter wind. It wasn't just about finding Charlie's sister. This was about healing. For him. For the whole family. Arriving at the cafe, Jake spotted Charlie already seated by the window, poring over a stack of papers. The sight made his heart race. Charlie looked up and offered a grin that felt both reassuring and loaded with expectation. Morning, Jake said, taking a seat across from him. Hope you found something good. I think so, Charlie replied, excitement simmering in his voice. He pushed the papers toward Jake, a mix of old articles and legal documents that felt heavy with history. This is the stuff I found about adoptions that took place around the time your sister was born. There are names here, places. Jake flipped through the documents. As he scanned the pages, reality began to sink in like a lead weight. His sister existed somewhere out there. But what if they didn't like what they found? Ready? Charlie asked, breaking through Jake's thoughts. Yeah, Jake exhaled. But this is going to be a lot to take in. Are we prepared for whatever we discover? I've got your back, man, Charlie said, sincerity etched in his gaze. We'll handle it together. With that, they set off, leaving the comfort of the cafe behind. The biting cold air hit him as they stepped outside, but for the first time that day, the chill felt oddly invigorating. It was as if the world beyond was daring him to take this journey. As they walked down the bustling street, Jake noticed the mixed expressions on the faces that passed by: joy, laughter, and, sometimes, unspoken sadness. All around him, families moved together, bundled up in their knitted scarves and hats, carrying gifts and hope in equal measure. A mother was adjusting her son's cap, a little girl clutched her father's hand tightly, and an elderly couple walked closely, sharing soft smiles. Each moment pressed more feelings into Jake's heart: what he yearned for, what was missing. "Let us stop there," Jake said suddenly, pointing to a small boutique filled with holiday decorations. Something caught his eye: a star, shimmering under the bright lights. It felt symbolic, shining brightly in the chaos of winter. Charlie glanced over, then back at Jake. "You okay? Just give me a minute." Jake stepped into the store, the bell chiming softly behind him. He scanned the shelves adorned with ornaments and trinkets, each holding memories for someone. "Need a little spark of hope too?" Charlie teased gently as he entered behind Jake. Jake chuckled, but his heart ached. "Something like that." He picked up the star and turned it over in his hand. It was small, unassuming, yet filled with potential. "Maybe we need to remember that despite whatever we're about to face, we have to let hope shine through." He and Charlie exchanged a knowing look, one filled with burgeoning courage, the kind that flickered against the gathering storm of uncertainty. As they left the shop, the sky began to cloud over, a stark reminder of the impending revelation. What awaited them at the end of their search? Would the truth illuminate their lives or cast longer shadows? It was time to confront whatever lay ahead, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that just beyond that horizon, a deeper truth waited to be uncovered. As they walked into the unknown together, a sense of determination surged. They were ready to pursue the truth, whatever it held. But could he handle the light if it shone too brightly? The streets felt alive, full of hopeful energy that brushed against Jake's skin like the crisp winds. As he and Charlie moved through the crowd, he noticed the variations of warmth shared between families. Yet, his heart tugged with a mix of anticipation and fear. What if today unraveled threads he wasn't ready to confront? "Jake?" Charlie's voice blurred through his thoughts. "You okay back there?" "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, shaking his head free of the haze. They resumed walking, purpose steering them forward. As they neared the town hall, a building steeped in history and the backdrop for much of their shared childhood, Jake felt the familiar knot tighten in his stomach. This was where they would meet a woman named Patricia, someone who claimed to have important information about adoptions 14 years ago. The word adoption loomed heavy, each letter echoing with connotations that made Jake's pulse quicken. What if she doesn't have answers? Jake asked, almost to himself. What if she only brings more questions? Charlie placed a reassuring hand on his back. Then we figure it out. Together. They reached the old building, its facade a mix of brick and ivy, as majestic as it was intimidating. Inside, the air spoke of dampness and forgotten stories. Jake can hear the quiet murmur of conversations punctuating the stillness, but it felt distant, muffled under the weight of his own thoughts. "Let us find her," Charlie said, scanning the room. Jake nodded, gripping the star ornament tightly in his pocket, as if it could offer solace. Every step toward the small conference room at the back felt monumental. The door stood slightly ajar, casting long shadows on the floor. The muffled voices spilled out, raising his anxiety even higher. "Do you hear her?" Charlie whispered as they approached. Jake could sense the warmth lingering just on the other side, a warmth that felt almost unreal given their search for something so raw, so essential. "Let us just go for it," Jake urged, pushing the door open. Patricia sat at the table, her expression one of surprise, laced with a knowing softness. She nodded at them, a grandmotherly aura radiating from her, her silver hair loosely tied back. "Jake," she said gently, as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "I'm so glad you're here. Do you know about my sister?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. "Yes," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "And it's a complicated story, one filled with hope and shadows." Jake swallowed hard, the thought of shadows snapping closed around him. "Tell me." Patricia took a deep breath, the kind that filled the room with solemnity. Your sister, her name is Emily. She's south been living close by. I've tried to connect you two for a while. The family that adopted her, they wanted to give her a fresh start. The words hung in the air, each one heavier than the last. His sister was near. But another revelation brewed beneath the surface. So, she doesn't even know about me? Patricia shook her head, sorrow pooling in her eyes. No. She was too young to remember. And the family felt it was best to keep it that way. Jake was torn between relief and despair. They were closer to finding her, yet the division felt even more pronounced. What do we do now? I have her address, Patricia said, producing a slip of paper. The moment felt like a split second replayed in slow motion. He could feel the clock ticking in his chest. Are you ready for this? Charlie whispered, stealing a glance at Jake. He exhaled sharply. This was a moment he had imagined in his dreams, thrilled yet petrified by the thought of opening a door to a life he had no part in. I think so, Jake replied, though doubt shadowed his voice. What if she doesn't want to see me? Then we'll respect that, Charlie said firmly. But at least we'll give her the choice. Jake stared at the slip of paper, the address burning a hole in his pocket where the star rested. There it was, the first real step forward, yet shrouded in uncertainty. As they stepped out of the conference room, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. Emily was close, yet so far. Would she embrace the family she had lost? Or would layers of hurt keep them apart? The snow began to fall again, obscuring the world around them with soft white. Each flake felt like silent prayers woven through the air. Jake clutched the star tightly, steeling himself for what came next. Let us go find her, he said, determination creeping into his voice. But as they took their first steps toward the unknown, a gnawing question lingered at the back of Jake's mind. Would the discovery be the miracle he hoped for, or a pain that echoed forevermore? The world blurred around Jake as he stepped onto the snow-covered sidewalk. The cold was biting, but somehow it felt less daunting now. The address Patricia had given them seemed to pulse with life in his pocket, an anchor in the storm of emotions swirling in his mind. Jake, wait, Charlie said, falling into step beside him. You know we can do this, right? It's okay to feel nervous. Jake nodded, though his heart hammered against his ribcage, a staccato rhythm of uncertainty. What if she doesn't want to see me? What if I'm just some ghost from her past? We won't know unless we try, Charlie replied, his voice steady, like a lighthouse in a heavy fog. This is your chance to see if she wants a relationship. You owe it to yourself and to her. A shiver ran down Jake's spine. Charlie was right, hiding from the possibility wasn't he going to help. With a deep breath, he pulled out the slip of paper and glanced at the address again. Okay. Let us go. They walked briskly, the crunch of snow beneath their feet resonating with every heartbeat. The streets throbbed with festive cheer, people laughing and bustling around. Nearby, children built snowmen while couples strolled hand in hand, wrapped in colorful scarves. As cold as it was outside, the warmth of the holiday spirit seeped into the cracks of Jake's heart, bringing both comfort and sadness. Are you hungry? Charlie asked, subtly trying to lighten the mood. Maybe after this, we can find a nice cafe and have some hot chocolate? I'm not sure I'll be able to enjoy it, Jake admitted, the thought of his upcoming meeting pressing heavily on his chest. I just need to know what she thinks. Remember, this is a two-way street, Charlie encouraged. She might have questions for you too. Just be honest. As they rounded a corner, Jake's mind raced. What would he say? Would he reveal the star ornament, the one he held tight all these years, representing the unspoken love for a sister he'd never known? Would she even understand the weight of that, or see it as just the remnants of a life that had been taken away? They finally reached the address, a cozy little blue house nestled between two towering oaks. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, the smell of baking cookies wafting in the frigid air. Jake's breath hitched. He hesitated, heart racing wildly as he stared at the door. Are you ready? Charlie asked, his eyes scanning Jake's face intently. Jake's throat felt dry. Not even close, he muttered, but something within him surged. But I have to try. He took a step forward, snow crunching beneath him like an anxious heartbeat. Would it feel like family? A reunion or a goodbye? He raised a hand, feeling the weight of the star pinching his palm. Before he could knock, the door swung open, and there she stood, Emily. Time seemed to freeze as they locked eyes. In that magnified moment, her face was a blend of surprise and confusion. The warmth of home behind her contrasted sharply with the chill outside, yet Jake's heart felt icy, caught in that instant. Who are you? She asked, her brow furrowing slightly. Jake's voice betrayed him, it caught in his throat. All those unspoken words, all that yearning. It felt like an avalanche, too much to process, too much to hold. I'm Jake, he finally managed, the name hanging between them, heavy with unsaid memories. Your brother. The world around him faded, the bustling life of the holiday slipping away, leaving only the two of them suspended in their own universe. He searched her eyes for recognition, connection, anything that could bridge the years lost and lay the groundwork for what lay ahead, but the flicker of confusion in her expression sent a shiver down his spine. Would she run from the truth, or step closer into the warmth of who they could become? And as her gaze shifted toward the house behind her, a sense of dread seeped into the cracks of hope. Would this moment shatter, or would it illuminate a path forward? Jake's breath hitched, waiting for her response, heart pounding with the weight of what was to come. Emily blinked, her eyes searching Jake's as if trying to understand if he was a mirage conjured by the cold air around them. My brother? She echoed, the words hanging awkwardly in the crisp air. Jake felt a pang of longing in his chest. He had rehearsed this moment, envisioned a reunion filled with warmth and understanding. But now, all he could feel was the weight of silence pressing down. Yes. I mean, we haven't met, but I've always known about you. About us, he stammered, grasping for words that felt impossible to pin down. How? Emily's voice was steady, yet laced with disbelief. How do you know me? Jake opened his mouth to reply but hesitated. Would she accept the truth? The complex backstory of separated lives, of choices made by others that shaped their realities? He decided honesty was best, even if it meant exposing his vulnerabilities. Our mother, she had to make tough choices. I found out about you a few months ago. I didn't want to intrude, but I had to see you. I had to know you. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she processed his words. You've known about me? How? Why now? He wanted to reach out, to bridge that gap between them. I found this, he said, pulling the star ornament from his pocket and holding it toward her. Beneath the soft sheen of snow, it glimmered with a certain magic. It has your name on it, and it's part of the only Christmas memories I had. I was hoping we could share memories now, together. Emily's expression softened, but the shadow of uncertainty still clouded her features. I don't know what to say, Jake. This is a lot. A sudden wave of fear washed over him. What if she turned him away? What if this was a brief encounter that would splinter into an endless chasm of what could have been? You don't have to say anything right now. I thought you might want to know you have family. He could hear the distant laughter from the street, the hustle of holiday cheer feeling like a cruel contrast to his reality. In this moment, standing on a snowy threshold, the world felt painfully alive while Jake was painfully aware of how disconnected he truly was from her and even from his own emotions. Finally, Emily drew a breath, her features still etched with the weight of the moment. I probably should invite you in. Just to talk, she said, almost tentatively. But I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. A flicker of hope ignited inside him. We can start anywhere you want. I'm here for it all, Emily. She stepped aside, opening her home to him. Jake entered the warmth, the smell of cookies and cinnamon wrapping around him, contrasting sharply with the chill still clinging to his skin. It felt surreal, stepping into a life that had always existed just out of reach. As he entered, he caught a glimpse of a family photo on the wall, large and vibrant. He recognized her eyes from the picture, bright and full of life, just as they were now. But the sight also sent a rush of emotions. Could this new door open onto the family he yearned for, or was it merely a reminder of the deep history that kept them apart? Emily motioned for him to sit at the table, and in that small gesture, Jake felt the heaviness of possibility settle over them both. She studied him, her expression a mixture of curiosity and caution. "So, tell me about you. What do you want from me?" "From this?" Jake took a deep breath, his heart racing. He had waited so long for this moment. "I guess I want to learn about you, and maybe, hopefully, build something together." He held her gaze, searching for a glimmer of agreement. But as the seconds drew out, he could feel the uncertainty steeping back in, shrouding the moment. Did he dare hope she might want the same? As the silence stretched, the weight of answered questions loomed, heavy and unresolved. But what if this was just the beginning, and the answers that lay ahead would reshape everything he thought he knew? Jake's heart raced faster than ever in the warmth of Emily's home. The soft light reflected off the table, casting playful shadows, but all he could focus on was the weight of the silence resting between them. He could almost hear the ticking of time, each moment stretching out like an eternity, eager for something to break the ice. "Okay, to start," she said, her voice steadying as curiosity mingled with uncertainty. "You know who I am, but what do you want from me?" Jake felt a knot in his throat. This was the moment he dreamt of but could barely articulate. "I want to know you," he said slowly, searching for the right words. "I've been thinking about this for a long time. I can't change the past, but maybe we can start anew. I want a sister in my life." Her gaze softened, yet remained guarded. The warmth of family memories swirled around them like the smell of freshly baked cookies in the air, yet the distance felt palpable. "But, Jake," she replied, hesitating, "I have my own family now. A life I've built. What does that mean for us if we even consider this?" Jake nodded, understanding washing over him. "I get it. It's complicated. But you deserve to know where you come from. We have a chance to figure it out together. I lost so much when we were separated. All those missed birthdays, family dinners, everything, Emily. I wish it hadn't happened, but here we are now. This is a chance." Tension settled in her brow as she grappled with his words. "You say you want to connect, but what if you realize you don't want to be connected to this? To me?" "No," he reassured her, leaning in earnest. "I've thought about what family could mean. I've pictured this moment." His voice dipped to a whisper. "I dream of the laughter, the shared memories, the support, everything I've missed. I want you to be part of that life." Emily's eyes glimmered with unshed tears, reflecting his own heartfelt longing. She looked around her home, and he could sense her mind racing, weighing his expectations against her reality. The warmth enveloping them felt stark against the ghosts of their separate lives. "Okay, let us say I consider this," she finally said. "What does that look like? Can we really build something on the cracks of our disconnected childhood?" Jake felt a surge of hope fill his heart. "We start by being honest," he explained, reaching for the calmest tone he could muster. "No pressure. Just stories. You can ask anything, and I promise to answer. And we can see where it goes. If it feels right, we'll figure out what comes next." "All right," she sighed. "What was your childhood like?" Jake took a deep breath, relaxing into the moment as memories washed over him like gentle waves. "It was messy, but it was filled with love before everything fell apart. We had traditions, holiday dinners, and my mom, she was everything to me. The laughter faded when she did, and I lost touch with you, with everything that mattered." They began to talk, and the words flowed effortlessly. With every exchange, they attacked a little piece of the barrier holding them back. Stories of school days, growing up, hopes, and dreams merged, painting the picture of two lives intertwined by blood but separated by distance. Jake spoke of Sarah, how their family shattered, and he often wondered about Emily, how he wished for everything to be whole again. "Tell me about Sarah," Emily said, her eyes lighting up with genuine interest. Jake smiled. She's my rock, you'd love her. Sweet, funny, always trying to bring light to the shadows. She's had her struggles, especially after Mom. But we're working through it, together. That's nice to hear. Emily seemed to relax, the warmth of connection starting to soften her edges. You mentioned those holiday dinners. Did you ever have a Christmas without her? He laughed softly, remembering those bittersweet days. When our family lost its way, Christmas turned from joy to silence for a while. But I think rediscovering our family ties could change everything. As the minutes slipped by, laughter intermingled with unspoken emotions. Jake realized how important this moment was not just for him but for Emily, too. Every shared story bridged the chasm between them, illuminating the love they had missed and the life they could eventually share. Jake, you said you've always known about me. What did you imagine this day would look like? She asked, her voice softening with curiosity. He hesitated, thoughts swirling. Honestly? I imagined sitting in a cozy place like this, wrapped in family warmth. I hoped for laughter, stories shared over hot cocoa, feeling like I belonged somewhere. I pictured being there for you for all the moments that mattered. You thought of me that way? Her expression softened, and he saw vulnerability shine through. Every day since I found out, he admitted. What's important is building this now. I want to embrace the present and leave the pain behind. Emily smiled, and it filled the room with a ripple of warmth. Okay, let us keep talking. This could be a start, she said quietly, a flicker of hope igniting between them. With those simple words, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of relief flood through him. This was the first step not just for him, but for both of them. As they began to share more about their lives, they both knew this was just the beginning of something beautiful. And as they laughed and bonded, the door they had both been afraid to open slowly creaked further ajar. Can I keep this? Emily asked, picking up the star Jake had shown her earlier. He chuckled, nodding eagerly. Of course. It's yours, just like this connection will build our family history thread by thread. In that moment of shared warmth and blossoming connection, Jake realized that this Christmas had the potential to turn into the best one yet, transforming hope into a new beginning. As the sun dipped low and the golden rays painted the walls, Jake felt tears fill his eyes with a mix of joy and relief. They had stepped into the light, finally beginning to mend the seams of their separated lives, and while they still had paths to walk ahead, the echo of laughter and the promise of family promised to carry them wherever that journey would take them. Now, as you conclude this heartfelt journey, it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories that will tug at your heartstrings. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more fans who need to see this transformation. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Your words matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible journey. Your support means everything, and only true fans understand the importance of standing together.